Maybe you can already start with the introduction.
Yes.
That will be okay. Okay, thanks for joining our webinar today about our Power BI out-of-the-box solution. I will show you throughout the webinar what it is, what's in the box, and also how it looks like by showing our demo reports. Maybe first introduce ourselves. My name is Melanie Verkampt. I joined element61 in September last year as a data consultant and then shifted in January this year to the business development team. I have in total more than 3 years of experience as a data consultant and data scientist, where I helped organizations convert data into business insights. And today I'm doing that as well, but from another perspective.
All right, I'm your co-host today.
Yes.
So my name is Timothy van Brusselen. I'm partner in analytics at element61. I have more than 15 years of experience in the data space, in the BI space. I'm really fond about talking about Azure data platforms or data in general. I like to discuss those data architectures, and on a day-to-day basis, I try to convert or I try to turn data ideas into actionable insights.
Right, thanks. Maybe before we dive into the content, two things, some practicalities. There is a recording of this webinar, but it will be only shared on request. The questions can be asked in a Q&A panel or at the end of the presentation. And if you experience some issues, I think it will be solved by leaving and re-entering the webinar, or let's hope. Yeah. Second point, maybe let's introduce element61 first to you, what element61 is all about. We are a Belgian company founded in 2007 and part of More Belgium in 2016. And we are specialized in 3 core areas. First of all, we have our business intelligence, where we enable organizations to unlock the full potential of the data through data warehousing, engineering, integration on a modern data platform, and of course, the data governance, which is also very important. Secondly, we have our data science and analysis part, where we harness the power of artificial intelligence, machine learning, and generative AI to really drive data valorization, generate valuable insights, and develop innovative applications. And our third core area is the performance management part, where we really try to optimize the financial performance through expert consolidation, group reporting, planning, budgeting, and forecasting. And next to that, we have our ESG reporting and regulatory and tax reporting. So these are our 3 core areas. But what distinguishes us from other consultancy companies is, first of all, we have a broad industry experience, going from construction industries like Matexi or Fepco to food like Ardo or Agristo Darta, to finance, to retail, and to other industries. And in those industries, we have also experience in different departments, different domains. Second point is that we are a Microsoft Advanced Specialization Partner for Analytics and AI. And that fancy name means that we will always operate in accordance with the best practices and providing quality guarantee. We have more than 85 certified consultants with expertise in the newest technologies like Fabric, Databricks, DevOps, and Azure in general. And next to that, we are the first partner in Belgium that implemented OpenAI on Azure. Of course, we are a Microsoft partner, but we have also partnerships with for example, SAP, Time Extender, TimeSeer, and others. So, and the third point that distinguishes us from other consultancy companies is that we have another approach. Our approach where we try to upskill the internal skills by implementing a project in coaching and co-development mode. So what does that mean? It means that we will start a project together with your team, and as the project continues, we train and coach your team. And this leads to an increased involvement and commitment in the project. Next to that, we have our element61 Academy, where with tons of trainings, starting from beginner levels on Power BI to very advanced trainings on generative AI. You can find all our trainings available on our website. All right. So maybe now let's dive into the content and the content of today. And let me maybe start with a small story. A small story about a CEO. So we have a CEO at the company, and the CEO wants to have insights, data coming from, example, Dynamics 365. So we have a visualization, we have a report with KPIs, visualizations on the data of Dynamics 365. However, the CEO wants to see a specific KPI, a specific visualization, which is not shown in the standard visualizations of Dynamics 365. And next to that, all the budgets are available in a separate Excel. A separate Excel which is not linked to the Dynamics 365. How can our CEO now make informed decisions based on the data in different source systems? And another case could be that our CEO wants to compare the accounts receivables, maybe from Dynamics 365, with sold products coming from other tables in the ERP system, or even, if possible, from another source system. Then the CEO has 3 source systems where he wants to compare the data, where he wants to make informed decisions from. So then he thinks, oh wow, how can I now make the informed decisions? And that's where we suggest to break down the silos. So it is hard for the CEO to make informed decisions due, first of all, the inflexibility of having their own KPI visualizations in Dynamics 365 standardized reports. And next to that, we have the different sources. So we suggest to break down the silos and accelerate your 360 view insights of your company with our solution. And that solution is called our Power BI out of the box. So what does it mean? Our solution will take all your data from the leading ERP source systems, so at the left-hand side of the slides, like Exact Online, Dynamics 365, SAP, Business Central, Oracle, Odoo, and it is also possible to extend it with other operational systems like Salesforce, like Excel, or HubSpot. This data we will save, clean, and transform all data into one data model in an interconnected data platform. This data model is then used in one application in Power BI, the right-hand side of our slides, to analyze your data on different domains. Like in this example from our CEO, it was finance and sales and budgets together. This is a common problem in companies, and because our thought leadership and because we are in the market for more than 15 years, we have automated this process to accelerate companies and to implement this in 5 to 10 days per module. When you want this on your own, or you want to build it from scratch, we estimate this doing it in 25 to 40 days. So as you can see, it's a quick win to accelerate your company with our solution.
25 to 40 days if you possess all the skills to build a platform.
Yep.
So you know how to build an Azure modern data platform, you understand the relations between those source systems, and you know how to build a best practice data model, right?
Yes, indeed. So now what is in or out of the box? We have 2 parts. First, we have our data model. So you need a data model to report on, because garbage in is garbage out. If your data model is not good or correct or does not contain a single source of truth, then you cannot make informed decisions on your data. So our data model, we have the different functional modules available in one single data lakehouse, and I will come back on that data, or my colleague Timothy will explain a data lakehouse to you in a couple of the next slides, and in a single Power BI module. And the data from that data model can then be used in Power BI or even in Microsoft Excel as a pivot table if you wish. Next, we have the modules. So I explained a bit that we have different modules, like our CEO wanted to have finance and sales, but we have more in our catalog, if I can call it like that. And maybe Timothy, you can elaborate on which domains that we can build or out of the box on.
Yeah, so there are actually different ways of looking at how we group those facts or those business processes. You have the virtual way of looking at it, and then we're looking at the domain implementations, like for example finance, where we created a data model around the general ledger postings, for example, but also accounts receivable and accounts payable. We have sales in our portfolio or in our catalog with sales invoices, sales orders. We have production orders. We have inventory with the inventory movements summing up to the balances. We have work in progress, which can be viewed with the projects domain. We have procurement or purchase, service, timesheets, CRM, and the latest addition to our out-of-the-box suite is human resource management or human capital management, where we give some insights into your workforce. So this is the vertical way of looking at those insights into those figures. There's also a horizontal way of looking at it, and then we're visualizing or we're delivering only the full business process, like for example the procure to pay process, where we cherry pick some dimensions, some KPIs from various domains. We also have make to stock, order to cash, make to order, and lots of other business views as well. Out of the box now also comes with additional AI and CPM capabilities. So you have the domains, you have the processes, but we can also align or integrate with other use cases as well. Like for example, everything now that has to do with AI and OpenAI, which is a really hot topic nowadays. We have implemented interfaces there as well. For example, demand forecasting. Maybe you can give an example of something we built for Bakkerij Arnoud's.
Yes, for example, Bakkerij Arnoud, we have a lot of croissants and other pastries, I can call it. And if they want to know how many they need to bake, they of course need to look at their data. And if it is on a Sunday or at a holiday, for example, or just a casual Wednesday afternoon, it all depends on when, how many people. There are a lot of factors to take into account to make a forecast and to make sure to have less waste, of course, because that's the goal of our demand forecasting at Bakkerij Arnoud, to have less waste and to predict accurately how many pastries or breads or other things that they sell are getting sold on that particular day.
Right. So they try to optimize actually the breads and the coffee cooker that
and
they
the
have
coffee
to
cooker, indeed.
to bake. There's also AR forecasting, so accounts receivable, where we try to forecast when someone is going to pay or when you have to send him a mail that person or that customer has to pay. There's market basket analysis as well. And then we also have some interfaces towards budgeting, planning, and consolidation tools, where we can source from the data lakehouse. Mostly it's within the finance domain, and we can push data into a budget planning or consolidation tool like Venna, Tagetic, Profix, and
Wolters Kluwer.
Yeah, Wolters Kluwer is also a supplier.
Yes.
Voila.
Okay, so now the data model. How do we build that data model? Well, we make use of a dimensional data model or a star schema, which is also called with facts and dimensions. We have, for example, here to explain the facts and dimension part, we have our sales fact table, which contains all numerical values. And then we have our dimensional tables, our client, location, product, which contains all the context to our fact table. And based on facts and dimensions, we will go over every domain. As you can see here, every domain, we have our fact tables over here and our dimension tables over here. And as you can see, this is one data model. If you want, for example, a customer, you want to have a look at data from your customer, then that same customer, that same dimension table is available, for example, in CRM domain, in finance domain, in inventory domain, in production domain. So you have that single source of truth that one customer, the data is available in the different domains. So you can make cross references, you can make analysis throughout all domains on that particular customer. So we built this dimensional data model on your data. And how does it look like in Power BI? This is how it could look like in Power BI. And this data model is then used by us or by you for self-service capabilities, for example, to make your own reports. So then you are sure that everyone at your company makes use of the data, the one single source of truth, the correct data to report on. And maybe let me show it to you how this looks like in Power BI itself. So in Power BI, you see here it's an empty desktop. You have no data available. It's just an empty Power BI report. If you go to Get Data and you go to Power BI Semantic Models, then a tab will open with all demo reports. And let me just take the data model demo report. I will now ingest the data into my Power BI desktop, and it's not loading in all the data. It's just giving a link between our semantic model and then our desktop. So it goes very fast because how many data that is now getting ingested. It is on all domains. It is on sales. It is on purchase. It is on HR. It is on finance. It is on project production. And I think it's 7 out of 10 domains that are now read in. And now, as you can see here at our data part, we have all our facts and all our dimension tables available. And then it is a matter of dragging and dropping on your pane, on your canvas, to make your report that you want to build. You can make your own KPIs, for example, your own measures, and then you can, let me just maybe take a sales order facts, and then I can just drag and drop a value, and I'm looking for a particular, it doesn't matter, it's just dragging and dropping, and as you can see, you can add multiple columns to a table. You have the different visuals, and then if you want to look at your data structure, of course, now we're making use of a lot of data, so the structure will not be that nice, or it's not a good overview because it will be very how can I say it, chaotic, but it gives you also the ability to really have a good look into which data is, for example, linked to our sales orders. On which dimensions can I now report to have a look at my sales orders? And then I see, okay, I can maybe look at my sales reps. How is it linked with the sales orders, or per location, on currency, the items, and so on and so on. So this is how you can do it on Power BI. And let me now maybe get back to the slide deck to continue the presentation. Voila. Voila. So now I've talked about our data model. And in our data model, it also contains different data from all your legal entities. I will show it in the demo as well. And it supports all historical ERP versions, meaning if you have, for example, legacy systems, the data can be stored in the data lakehouse, and we can report on that data as well. So you can phase out the data from your legacy systems. And a second use case here is, for example, if you migrate from one ERP to a new ERP, the data from the old ERP system can also be stored in the data lakehouse to minimize the complexity of the migration. And a last point of our data model is that we have additional snapshots available. So additional snapshots meaning that you can see the data from every day. You can see from every day the evolution of your accounts payable, your accounts receivable, your production, the inventory, and so on. And I will show it in the demo then how it looks like. So this is what is in our data model. And next to that, we have our architectural parts. It is a scalable, future-proof architecture that is based on Microsoft and on Power BI and Azure Analytics technology, like and Microsoft Fabric then, and maybe also Databricks is available. And because we make use of the standard Microsoft technology, we make it an out-of-the-box and not a black box. So that's very important. The data model, all the code is on your private cloud with documentation available, so you can make changes yourself. The CEO can make his own KPIs himself or ask his employees to do that. But you can really, it is flexible, you can make your own visualizations. And all code is openly readable, it is extendable and changeable. You own everything from a fact. But we also give you the start, we give you the base to do all those things. And from an architectural point of view, we include the ETL pipelines, so the extract, transform, load, the data coming from your ERP into a data lake and data lakehouse layer. There we clean, we transform the data into a data model, which is then the second point, the predefined Power BI semantic model, and that model is then used in Power BI, and we make for you a predefined dashboards and reports, which I will show you in the demo. So now we have the architectural points. Maybe Timothy, you can elaborate on that as well.
Yes, so in this slide, I will cover how data flows from the source, from the left-hand side to eventually the right-hand side, where you try to visualize your data with Power BI in a self-service way of working. So on the left-hand side, we have structured sources like the ones already mentioned by Melanie. So as for HANA, we have private cloud, we have public clouds, we have on-premise implementations that we support for SAP. We have Business Central, which was formerly known as Navision or NAV. We have D365 in our portfolio, also known as Axapta or AX. Exact online and Odoo, but also other sources can be added to that same modern data platform. And then I'm maybe talking about non-structured sources or semi-structured sources like JSON files or XML files that complements that data lakehouse and give you some more insights into Power BI. So those are the sources. Those sources will be pushed or pulled into the core of the Power BI out-of-the-box solution, which is hosted in Azure using Fabric, which is the green F, or Databricks on the other hand. And the first thing that we will do with that data is we will store it in the data lake. It's a full data set which is stored in its raw file format. So at that point, we're not doing anything with the data. We're just moving it from the sources into the data lakehouse. Then we start cleansing the data, curating the data, and preparing the data to model them within Databricks. So in Databricks, in the last part, which is called the gold layer, we're building a star schema existing out of dimensions and facts, and where we can do some historical analysis using snapshots. And this is actually the enterprise data lakehouse part with the medallion architecture. So storing it is the bronze layer, curating it is the silver layer, and modeling it is the gold layer. And this is basically, this is the stage where end users don't have access to, because I haven't met a lot of end users who are capable of using their own SQL scripts. There are some some examples of them, but we mostly push the data into a Power BI semantic model where end users can create their own visualizations using drag and drop functionalities within Power BI. So the Power BI semantic model is where the data is being stored in a truly optimized way in memory, where there are some time intelligence functions, some row level security and object level security, and data is then being visualized with the Power BI reports, dashboards, and Power BI workspaces and apps. And that's the visualization layer. Voila.
Okay, great. Thanks. Now back to the last two things before jumping into our demo. Like I already mentioned, we can extend the solution with any other operational system, for example, Salesforce, Excel, HubSpot. And very important part, we also we add the security roles and licenses. So we do not want a sales rep, for example, to see all the salaries of his or her colleagues. So we'll make sure that based on roles, people see what they can see or may see, but not the parts that they, of course, are not allowed to see. This is also part of our out-of-the-box. So in general, what is in the box? We have our data model and we have our architecture with then your predefined ETL, predefined semantic model, and predefined dashboards and reports. Okay, and now to the fun stuff. So our demo reports. Let me share other screen. So what you see here is our application in Power BI. You see at the left-hand side that we have our demo semantic model available, covering finance, covering sales, purchase, production, HR, inventory, and projects. So this is all one data model. I will go for this webinar over finance and a bit over HR. But what I want to mention first is what you will see here is an inspirational dashboard. It's of course not the case that we will implement this with the out-of-the-box logo and the colors of element61. This will be all customized to your logos, to your colors, but it's also possible to have new KPIs, to have new filters, to have new visualizations, and this we will discuss with the business team before starting the projects or out-of-the-box implementation. So it can be a inspirational report, or we have some clients that just want the demo reports available. So for our finance insights, the reports are built this way that we have a landing page where we have an information button to have a look at the terminology, the measures, the ratios in the language that you want, so in Dutch or English. And we have, of course, also the categories related to the finance domain. Let me take you to the financial dashboard. The financial dashboard is an overview of the most important KPIs that someone wants to see in one look. And it is built that way that we have above filters covering different business units or different companies. So this is where all the legal entities will be available to have a look at all of them or maybe just one. And then we have here time filters to have a look at a specific point of time and to have a look at the data. Next to that, we have our KPIs above. So these are just example KPIs compared with previous year, compared with operating income. And under the KPIs, we have the account overview. So this is your financial statement of here, in this case, 2023. And you can really deep dive into, let me maybe go up. And you see, if you want an overview of all the numbers, then you can click them all like that. And if you want to have a very specific look at your expenses, you can drill down wages, social charges, and pensions, for example. And this is to the third level. But as I mentioned, it is all flexible and changing, and we can go until the document number if you prefer. So we can change that to your needs. Here we have an evolution of the KPIs stated above, and then we can have a look at, let's say, our operating expenses over the year 2023, or maybe compared with profit before taxes. And then we can really have a look at the evolution as well here as the operating income versus the cost of goods sold by month. So this is our financial dashboards. We have a P&L available in our finance domain as well. And in our profit and loss statement, we have 3 subtabs: our profit and loss statement, our profit and loss tree, and the matrix. Our statement is built this way that we have in our rows the P&L account numbers, and then the columns can be chosen by you as you prefer. So this example, I chose all company codes, but if I, for example, want to have a look at my entity Alphabet Inc., and I want to have a look over years, instead of 2023, let me click out the filters. Then I have a look of the data that is available, in this case from 2020 until now 2024. We can also deep dive or drill down into a specific account, and then we can also change the measure. So you can, for example, then compare with previous year or with the year-over-year or year-over-year percentage, and the amounts can be shown in this case in euro, but also in thousands of euro if you want to make it more visually appealing. Then next in our P&L, we have our P&L tree. And a P&L tree is really about, it is also called a decomposition tree, and it's really about zooming into your data. For example, here we are looking at a year-over-year percentage of the expenses and revenues, and I see, maybe let's click all the data, or all our entities in this case, and 2023, and not in thousands of euros. And now you see percentages, revenues. Let's have a deep dive of your revenues in our account level 2. And for example, if you want to have a look at your financial income, and let's say you want to have a deep dive per department name, how is it doing? Oh, what is happening here? How is it doing in a department name? Let me change it back to account level 2. Voila. And then you see that the department AI chatbot development unit is not doing that well compared to previous year. And then next in our P&L, we have our P&L matrix. And this is a bit the same like our P&L statements, but the difference here is that you can also choose your rows. So you can see it a bit as a pivot table in Excel, but you don't need the Excel part. You can all have it in one application, so they can make their own analysis in the application, making sure they have that single source of truth if they make their decision. So you can select different rows. In this case, I selected month, year, and then over the different company codes with the measure here now, just the posting amount in euro. Next, we have our balance sheet, and it is built quite the same way as our P&L. So we have first our balance sheet statement, where we can choose our different columns. And here, for the example, I chose month, year. So we have our Belgian gap. Can I say that? Gap. Gap level, and then we can already also drill down to a deeper level to really have a look at the numbers, and really see here at the deepest level. Balance matrix is same as our P&L, so it is you can choose your rows, you can choose your columns, and it's like a pivot table. So I covered the profit and loss statement. I covered the balance sheet, and what's next important in our finance is, of course, the cash flow. So we have several tabs on our cash parts. We have our cash flow statement or cash flow details. So again, in table form or direct cash flow, and then in a visualization, how the cash flow was per month now in 2023. We have further our net cash position and our net debt position. We have a cash evolution. So they're all built the same way, that we have a table with a detailed overview of the numbers, of the account numbers over time, so over month, year, or year if you wish, or quarter year, and then also in a visual to see the evolution. And next or last in our cash, we have our loan evolution to have a look at the loan and the short and the long-term debts. Next to cash, we have our ratios. So we build the most important ratios of a company or that a company would be interested in. And that's our, for example, here now, the liquidity ratio. And for every ratio, you can see we have a subtitle explaining which numbers are or what the equation is for the current ratio with the account numbers. So you see here we have current ratio, asset test ratio, net cash ratio, and this is now for 2023, but we can click it out and then you see from 2020 till now, you see a nice balance, a nice evolution of the data. The next ratio is our solvency ratio. So we have our total debt ratio and our financial leverage ratio, and also in percentage. We have our return ratio. So how good is a company? How profitable is our company? So we have our EBITDA, we have our EBIT, the net result versus equity, and versus the total assets. We have our inventory turnover, the days inventory outstanding, and inventory evolution. And then as last ratio, we have working capital. Working capital, again, in detail compared with the month and year, and also the evolution in a bar chart. And the last part of our finance demo here is the business partners. And with business partners, we have our accounts receivable. We take our accounts receivable into account and our accounts payable, as well as the days sales outstanding and days payable outstanding. So here are accounts receivable. This is, as you can see, we have here our KPIs, but we have here also our evolution of all the accounts receivable. This starting from 2023, but this goes back to 2020. And these are those additional snapshots that I talked about in the slides. So every day we look at or we save data in our data lake house, so no data gets overwritten. So you can also see always see the evolution. And let's say you want to have a look at or the accounts that needs to pay or are just late to pay, and we want to have a deep dive of this customer. We see this customer is from Indonesia, and this is the history or the evolution of the customer not paying the bills. We have the same thing for accounts payable, but that's the other way around. So it's built the same way. We have our KPIs, we have our visualizations, and also the history of which bills to pay. And then we have our days sales outstanding and our days payable outstanding. So this is our finance. We have two add-ons that I'd like to show for our finance reports. So Power BI is very flexible. You can make a lot of changes into the visualization, into the reports. You can it's very dynamic. However, if you want to, for example, print your financial statement or your P&L fully, so not a part, but the whole report, then we have a paginated report built to make sure you have all data into the one PDF or into the one Excel that you'd like to to export. So in this case, it is a P&L report, so it is possible to also have it in the full financial statement. And if you still want to make some calculations in Excel, so you're very familiar with Excel and you want to make calculation in it, and Power BI is not your thing, then we can make sure that the person that will use Excel, that he or she has the correct data, so that the decisions that are taken with the Excel are according to the correct data. So this is an example then of an Excel. So this is finance part, and what I want to show for HR. HR is another report, and no, I clicked the wrong one, because what I want to show here is it is a possibility to have another look and feel. As you can see here, this is another look and feel of our reports. It is possible to do it like that, for example. And then you don't have the landing page or the different categories at the left-hand side, but you have them here. If you think this is more practical for you, this can also be the case. And HR, we have data from this from your provider, social provider, social payroll provider, yeah, sociaal secretariaat payroll provider. We have the data from your payroll provider, and we read it into the data model. So it is the same data model that for example, here finance. So it is one data model covering also the HR part, and in that data we give you all those reports, and it goes from the headcount of your employees, the in and outflow analysis, so how many employees are entering or leaving the company, and then also based on the gender, on the different legal entities to have a comparison. We have our seniority, if you want to deep dive into the seniority of your of the company. We have the age, so we report on age. So we have here, for example, a histogram with the age groups. So you can really have a look at, do we have a lot of older people or younger people, or is it well divided in our company? And then what is very interesting is the sickness. So we can report on sickness. So when is a employee sick and for how long? Because a company needs to pay if a employee is sick for less than 1 month. And how much did the company now pay for the sickness of the employees? Then we can see an evolution of that salary cost. We can also see an evolution of less than 1 month, more than 1 month, and more than 1 year. We can have the decomposition tree if you really want to look which company now which gender, but it's also a possibility to have others. For example, now here, employee, residence, occupational category, but you can add more if you want to deep dive on other dimensions. Then we have our salary cost. So it's important to have a look at the salary of your employees and also the salary cost per hour, but also the salary cost per worked hour, which is different. If someone is on maternity leave or has more holidays or is sick, then this changes, of course. We have unemployment, we have work-related accidents, leave, worked hours. You see, there's a lot of data, a lot of reports available. And one of what I think is very interesting here is the employee analysis. So you can have a look at a certain employee, covering all the dimensions, covering the age, the seniority, the actual FTE, the cost per worked hour, the percentage leave, percentage sickness for less than 1 month, percentage unemployment, and the hours of accidents. And then if you want to have a look, this employee is performing well, do we need to give him or her a raise, or is not performing well? Should we fire this employee? Then we can have a look at the reports and the evolution of that particular employee. So that covers our demo. So we have, as you could see more demo versions available. So if you're interested in seeing one of those, you can send us an email or just contact us through the website. And for the final slides, let me go back to our slide deck. Voila. So what does the journey then look like if let's say you want make use of the out-of-the-box solution? Well, the implementation consists of two building blocks. Because we work in the cloud, we need, of course, an infrastructure and a good infrastructure with security. And this infrastructure can be on Azure, leveraging, for example, Databricks, or on Microsoft Fabric. And again, we have acceleration packs to set up the cloud environment according to best practices and security in 1 to 3 days. And building upon that infrastructure is our out of the box, so the top layer. And like already mentioned, this is the ETL pipeline. It is building the data model. It is building the predefined reports, like I showed at the demo. And this we do it in 5 to 10 days. So in a timeline, how does the journey then look like? We always start with a kickoff meeting. And in that kickoff meeting, we will discuss the timeline and the next steps. And during the journey, we will also have a meeting with your IT team to discuss infrastructure technicalities, and also with the business team to discuss the business logics, what KPIs do they want to see, which reports do they already have, and which or what do they want to see as well in the new reports. And if an infrastructure setup is needed, so you don't have an infrastructure yet, it's no problem, then we take from our sides into account 1 to 3 days to set up the infrastructure to build our out of the box. And from yours, we need half a day to help us with the subscriptions, to access to data sources, for example. And after the infrastructure setup, we have our application setup. And that takes from our side 5 to 10 days to set up the data model, the reports, and internal validation, and 2 to 3 days from your side for external validation. So this is then the journey. So now I've talked a lot. I hope it was clear. If you have any questions, you can drop it in the Q&A panel above. But for now, I don't see any questions yet.
Everything was clear.
Yeah, I hope so.
If there's still questions or remarks popping up, then feel free to reach out to us.
Yes. Maybe to conclude, this is our how can I sweet spot? No, it's
it's a list actually of all the customers that where we're really proud of.
yeah.
Because we implemented over a lot of industries, a lot of ERP systems, Navision, D365. You have SAP customers.
Yeah, indeed. So yeah, more than 60 customers, more than 150 modules implemented, and you can see here some of them on the screen. Maybe to conclude, some key takeaways that we want to give you from this webinar. It is, first of all, we provide immediate insights through Power BI. It is user-friendly with the drag and drop, and also scalable. It is a proven, mature solution with more than 60 happy customers, and we deploy predefined reports and dashboards together with you. They're based on experience and contain relevant and valuable insights. And most important, it kickstarts a data-driven culture completely in your control. So once deployed, you don't need to rely on external partners when you want to make changes, for example. And this all in 5 to 10 days. So these are the key takeaways. If you have questions or you want more information, you can send us an email if you want, or you can contact us through our website as well. So thank you for joining, and have a nice day further.
See you.
Bye.